Right now, so I kind of hears right now.
Hello.
Test, test, test.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our stress wellness workshop. My name is Nicholas Rangel.
My name is Leah Vanguardia. We are both mental wellness peer educators here at CAPS.
We typically would have a camera showing our faces for these workshops. However, unfortunately, we're working with some new equipment, so y'all can't see our faces right now, but we assure you that this issue will be resolved for our future wellness workshops. But with that, let's get right into it.
So before we start, we have a few ground rules. Just first, we can't establish confidentiality. We can't assure it. So what we can do is that, whatever happens during the workshop, whatever's being shared by y'all stays within the workshop. A number would be that this is not a therapy group. we want to assure you that this is more of a educational kind of workshop meant to educate students about stress, especially graduate students about stress and how we can sort of cope with it, like some stress management strategies. So let's get started. Okay, so we have a couple of objectives today. The first objective would be to learn specific symptoms and triggers that could lead to stress. The second would be to develop a self-care plan. And the last would be to learn quick stress management relaxation strategies. So first, we're going to be starting with a short little video. Just sort of like take some mental notes in your head about the different things you find interesting about this video. It's all about stress.
Watch this. One little piece of paper can have a remarkable effect. Stress is stressful. But if you understand a bit about what it is, you'll be better able to deal with it. First though, take a few deep breaths. In fact, do that anytime you feel stressed. It helps. Stress is a survival mechanism. When danger appears, it can get you out of trouble quickly. Your body crashes up the gears. Quickly the gears and throws all its resources into getting you moving. Your heart pumps furiously to increase blood pressure, glucose is sent to the muscles as a fuel injection, and you become totally focused on what psychologists call fight or flight. Thing is, this emergency state is only meant to last just long enough to get you out of danger. But here in the 21st century, we stress about different things, and for much, much longer. Your brain and body stay on red alert, and you'll be less able to think clearly, learn, or remember things. Take a few more deep breaths, because as you now know, stress is a physical reaction, and deep breathing helps to counteract its effects. So, what else can you do? Okay, top tips to reduce stress. First, get plenty of exercise. Let out all that locked up energy. Now, back to the problem. Get in control. Scope out the situation and how you're going to tackle it. Don't stress alone. Talk to someone. Socialize. And have a laugh. You can't laugh and quake with fear at the same time. Get down with nature on a big or small scale. And if your mind won't stop worrying, give it something else to do instead.
So thank you all for watching that short video. Again, apologies for the short technical difficulties that we had, but some things that we noticed in the video were the different points of stress, which can be seen along this stress curve here. Now, in the modern day, our stress mechanisms don't work how they intended to in human evolution. In the modern day, we have things to stress about like job interviews, college applications, essays that are due. And unfortunately, especially around midterm season or finals, we can enter these points of too much stress, and many of us even fall into burnout. And the reason why a lot of college students stay in this point of perpetual stress is because we do not know how to engage with stress management activities that can help us come back into the point of optimum stress, or even have periods where we experience an underload of stress. Now, let's look a little bit into what stress really is. Stress is an interaction between you and your environment and something that you perceive as threatening. We as humans have physical, emotional, behavioral, and cognitive responses to stress.
So in order to learn how to manage stress, it's also important to identify your specific signs or triggers that lead to stress. Triggers could be different from signs in a way that, maybe a trigger that leads to stress for you might be, oh, exam week coming up, midterms are coming up. And then a sign that you're stressed may be, oh, you notice yourself eating less, just different things like that. Do you want to share something that, helps you identify your signs of stress?
Something that helps me identify that I'm really stressed is when I no longer feel like engaging in things that typically bring me joy.
Mm-hmm.
So, one example is going to the gym or drawing. So, when I can't find time for those things or just don't have the motivation to find time for things that bring me true joy,
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm typically in a point of perpetual stress.
Right. And for me, I feel like a trigger of my stress really is exams. Sometimes the holidays as well. If anyone else in chat would like to share, you can totally share and we'll get to you whenever we can. But here are the different stressor symptoms that Nick explained. We have physical, so physical will uh, mostly deal with like fatigue, sleep challenges, muscle pain. Behavioral would be more about actions like procrastination, and emotional responses would be about things like fluctuations in your mood. Maybe you worry a lot more. And then cognitive responses would be, oh, like I can't saying to yourself, like I can't do this. I am going to fail, and I always mess up. And then Sophs in the chat said, for me, I know I'm stressed because I feel a tummy ache. Oh,
That's a great example of a physical response of stress.
yeah, that's one of the physical responses of stress. Hopefully maybe take some meds for your tummy ache, get yourself some ginger ale. How about you, Nick? Do you notice any of these responses to be like the main one for you, or do you have like multiple across everything?
A lot of mine are physical and cognitive responses to stress. I'll usually feel like a lot of tightness in my shoulders, my neck as well. And I notice that I start telling myself some of the phrases listed here, like, oh, I can't do this, or I'm going to fail.
Mhm.
And I really can't disconnect myself from those negative thoughts.
Right. I'm kind of the same. I kind of have a lot of cognitive responses. I also feel like I have a lot of emotional responses. I feel like I shut down a lot more and I get more easily stressed out and depressed. So yeah, so stress will look different in everyone. People may have more concentrated responses. Maybe someone feels more physically responsive to stress. Maybe someone else feels more like cognitively responsive to stress, or it can be like a whole different like mix of these different responses. So thank you all for sharing. So let's talk about factors that may impact graduate students in general, stressors. So when it comes to graduate students, it could be managing imposter syndrome. So that term was coined in 1978 by some psychologists, referring to like high achieving individuals who uh, who fail to internalize their accomplishments, being afraid that they feel like a fraud in a case. And graduate students, you're at such a high level of education, and it's only natural to feel maybe like you don't deserve to be where you're at. But there are some strategies to manage imposter syndrome. We have to recognize that it exists, make sure you talk about your successes, and eliminate use of words that kind of like minimize everything you've achieved. Like, don't just say just, only, or simply. And then you also want to utilize interdependence, pairing independence with dependence. Yeah, we also have, oh, sorry. Yeah.
And life balancing strategies are also important to keep in mind. As graduate students, you juggle many different roles in your life, whether you be someone's spouse or the child of somebody, or you have a job, you hold many different hats throughout your life. And those are all different things that we need to juggle and navigate those boundaries. So it is important to learn how to say no and become comfortable and okay with setting that boundary to say no when necessary, as well as prioritizing self-care and knowing that you are deserving of rest and know that you need rest to function properly. So let's do a little bit of self-reflection. We've already been thinking about ways to identify some of the different experiences that we may have, whether it be behavioral, emotional, physical, or cognitive. But we would like to know in the chat, how do you currently manage your stress? And or what are three things that you can do today to help ease your symptoms of stress?
Oh, I manage my stress by crying.
That's a good one. Crying is one way to relieve cortisol from the body. So that's an excellent way to relieve stress.
How do you manage your stress, Nick?
I manage my stress by exercising. That's another great example of releasing cortisol from the body. So two great examples right there to de-stress. I'd say I cry sometimes too, though.
Mhm.
And from Sophs in the chat says, I manage my stress through loud electronic music and naps. Ooh, I like that. I can see how that would definitely be relaxing.
Mhm. What are three things you can do today to ease your symptoms of stress?
Make sure to eat something. That's a big one. A lot of people can experience physical symptoms of stress without realizing it because they haven't eaten or drinking water. Uh, do something that you enjoy, something that makes you happy, and find some time to rest.
I think I need to sleep more. Maybe plan out my day better for tomorrow. This is a self-care activity. And maybe just hang out with my dogs. Yeah.
Those are perfect.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if anybody else would like to share.
We'll give it another 10 seconds. Um, Again from Sophs, we have I will sleep, hug a friend, and eat a nice, yummy meal. Those are perfect
Nice.
examples.
So let's get into self-care. So self-care refers to different activities and practices that we engage on regularly to maintain and enhance our short and long-term health and well-being. We want to kind of emphasize enhancing this in the longer term because there's some self-care activities that may not benefit you beyond that short moment. Like let's say you go shopping and then you splurge on like shoes and all sorts of things like that, but the next day you see that your credit card is like full. It's like, your bank account empty. So you kind of don't want to add on to any stressors. So make sure that the activity that you're doing for self-care, uh, benefits you in the long term. We also want to emphasize that self-care does not equal selfishness. We want to able to establish that, everyone is human, everyone is deserving of self-care. We all experience stress, and thus, we should be able to have the ability to sort of care for ourselves. And then in this next slide, next couple of slides, we do have a self-care assessment just to sort of like measure where we are in terms of self-care. But here are a couple of different self-care activities that are low cost or free that y'all can engage in. For example, meditation or exercise, like Nick said, listening to music, playing with your pets, even watching TV show or painting. So you can see that you don't have to take too much time out of your day to engage in self-care. It can be as simple as taking a walk or listening to your favorite song. You don't have to invest too much time into it. That's a common myth that we want to debunk. You don't have to go on vacation to engage in self-care. So even just integrating these little activities into your day or into your week will be beneficial to your mental health.
So let's review a couple of stress management strategies, kind of referring back to some of the different self-care plans that we saw before. You can do something physical, like exercising, which can include things such as swimming, walking, going outdoors, which also connects with being in nature. You can find ways to slow your day down, such as taking a nap, having some personal time, or engaging in deep breathing. You can say it aloud by talking to a friend, maybe making a blog post or reviewing someone else's, writing an email, or laughing about it, telling jokes and making light of the situation if appropriate. You can practice mindfulness, such as meditation, prayer, and body check-ins. You can have fun with it, go out with friends, watch a movie, and get your mind off of whatever may be stressing you. And you could also recognize the current frame of mind that you may be in. So challenging those negative thought patterns that may be perpetuating your stress. And what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is present-centered awareness in which each thought, feeling, or sensation that arises is acknowledged and accepted as it is. So a lot of stress and anxiety can come from thinking about what we should have, could have, or would have done in the past, or really stressing about future events, the what ifs, the things that we don't know, or the things that we're telling ourselves will most definitely happen. And often these can fall into a negative thought pattern. But when we can be present centered, this allows us to de-stress and access feelings of calm.
Okay, so we have a short little mindfulness exercise here. It's called box breathing. It's a deep breathing technique. So you can see a little box. So this would happen. What would happen is we would breathe in for 4 seconds, hold that breath for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and then hold that stillness for another 4 seconds. So if you'd like to, join me for this, we can do 2 rounds of it. So let's start. Okay, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, another round. So in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, then hold, 2, 3, 4. So how did that feel? How did it feel?
That felt nice. I always enjoy engaging in a short breathing activity.
Awesome. Let's proceed. So next, we want to remind ourselves that we should be kind to ourselves. So this is a concept called self-compassion. Just to read off a quote by Kristin Neff, instead of mercilessly judging and criticizing ourselves for various inadequacies or shortcomings, self-compassion means you are kind and understanding when confronted with personal failings. So sort of just accepting that, we're all human and, sometimes we may, come into obstacles and different things like that. But, just acknowledge that you're bound to make mistakes and that, this is just all part of the experience. So,
If you go ahead and scan these QR codes, we do have a self-compassion scale where you can kind of assess where you may be at on that scale, as well as a self-compassion worksheet. If you would like to scan those QR codes, please do so now, or you could just come back to this point of the video later. And let's go ahead and look at some of the resources available to you here on campus. So we have u.fullerton.edu. This is a wellness platform for our students. And here you can find peer-reviewed articles about things such as mental and physical health practices, networking and building friendships here on campus, professional development, and many more different topics. And let's go ahead and proceed.
So next would be compass.fullerton.edu. This is another resource that's available to students. This helps find essential resources. So in case you're in need of different things such as housing or food security or mental health services. These are all located in Orange County. So you just log in and sort of indicate what your concerns are, and it's a directory of resources with their emails, phone numbers, and other contact information. So in case this interests you, visit compass.fullerton.edu or scan the QR code right over there. You can come back to this video later as well. So next, we have our stress wellness packet here. It's basically just a bunch of activities and resources pertaining to presentation. We also have our stress wellness handout, which is kind of like a summary of the presentation as a whole, just to take home and sort of remember what you've learned from this presentation. So you can scan those in case you'd like to take those home with you.
And here we have our flyer. This is our general flyer that just covers a bunch of the different resources that are available to you through counseling and psychological services. And many of these can be found in our wellness room, which is located on the 3rd floor of Titan Hall. And you could also scan this QR code to visit our website. And next, we have our STEP model of care. This is just a more holistic look at the resources referenced on the previous slide. At the bottom, you can find our web-based services, and above that, you can find our no to low commitment services in the green. And then in the yellow, that is our commitment-based services. And then the red zone is our crisis services. So as you can see, depending on the various different situations or levels on this scale that you may be at, there are services available to you.
Okay, so before we'd like to go, before we will go, we don't want to go, but anyway, we'd like to ask y'all, what is your favorite takeaway? So Nick, what was your favorite thing about this presentation?
My favorite thing about this presentation was the way that we pivoted and made do. There were some technical difficulties at the beginning, but we got it done nonetheless, and we did great. I'm proud of us.
Yeah, and if anyone is interested in coming to another wellness workshop, you can come in through in person if you'd like to see our beautiful faces, or hopefully next time we do have this, we will have the technical difficulties resolved. So no worries about that. We're not, we're not robots talking behind a screen or anything like that. So we want to reassure you all that, you're welcome to visit us at Titan Hall, or you're welcome to come, visit us at tabling events and all sorts of things. We love, talking about our resources with everyone. And then we do have someone in chat. So says, my favorite takeaway was the cat pic. Yeah, that was a few slides ago, but it was a very cute cat pic.
It was a cute cat pic.
Awesome. All right. So thank you all so much for attending. If you attended, we'd love for you to scan this QR code and follow us at CNCF Caps on Instagram. That's where you'll find all sorts of different updates about our workshops, different groups, different events, and things like that. So if you scan that QR code, it does take you to an evaluation page where we definitely appreciate, definitely appreciate your feedback about how we did in our presentation. We take these very seriously so that we can improve our further presentations for everyone in the semester. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll leave this up for y'all.
And again, these are totally anonymous, so you don't have to worry about us tracking you down.
Yeah, don't worry. We're not going to hunt you down or anything like that. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to let us know.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and give it 10 more seconds, and if we have no further questions, then once again, thank you all so much for joining us. And this has been the Stress Wellness Workshop.
Thank you all.